ladies. So I just had a friend make a suggestion to me, and as I was listening to her video about it, I decided to just turn the camera on and record a video for you about it. I am driving, my phone holder broke, and so I'm putting a new one. In the meantime, you get to sit in my cup holder. I did not post a podcast episode this week, and I was beating myself up for it because now in 3 weeks I have missed 2. And I put pressure on myself to do these episodes every week, and I was beating myself up, and I was talking to a friend of mine on Marco Polo, which is a very amazing app. If you don't already use it with your friends, you should. And she was basically telling me, she's like, we women put all this pressure on ourselves all the time, especially moms, especially married moms. And she's like, stop trying to put all this pressure on yourself. And I mean, she used more colorful language than I am, but the whole thing is true. It's very true. And so in lieu of a podcast episode this week, you are getting my thoughts from the time it takes me to get from here to a doctor's appointment is the amount of time that you're getting. And that is, I need to just accept that it's okay that this doesn't look perfect, that I show up for you guys, for myself, in this podcast in a way that works for me. And I love the podcast, but I find myself sometimes feeling overwhelmed by the expectation I put on myself about it, that I'm like, maybe I'll just quit. Maybe I just won't do it anymore. I've changed it 3 times over the past almost 4 years. I've tried to do all these different things, all with the purpose and intention of reaching people, helping people, and that's awesome, and I love it, and I don't want to stop doing that. But the pressure that I put on myself to live up to the social media expectations and show up for the algorithms and make sure people see it, like, I want to quit when I think about that. And so I'm coming to you today with that very raw, like, you're not getting a podcast episode today. And I don't know that I'm going to be able to do it every week, because honestly, I don't know that that's going to work for me, but I want to keep showing up. And it just makes me, to the point that my friend gave me, we're overwhelmed as moms. We're overwhelmed on a lot of the things that we do, and doesn't matter if it doesn't look pretty. Like, I try to show up in my content, in my business, pretty. It's not, it, like, for example, the only time I had to record, actually didn't make time to record at all, and when I finally was just like, oh my god, on Sunday or yesterday, I don't remember, I was like, I need to record an episode. Well, it was a dirty hair day, and I was wearing a hat, and I was like, well, I can't record an episode in a hat. And I let that be the narrative that I told myself, and so I didn't record an episode. I really didn't feel like recording one anyway, so it's not like I really held myself back, but I did. I looked at that as a reason not to do it, and now it makes me think, like, so much of how I present as a woman, as a mom, as a wife, is I want to be put together. I want to look good. I want to sound good. I want to come across well packaged and all the things, but that's not real life. That's not real motherhood. That's not real anything, marriage. And that is my message today, is what does that look like for you? Because I know a lot of women who hold themselves back from doing things that matter to them because they feel like in order to do those things, they have to look a certain way. They have to be a certain way because of the judgment of others, and especially other women. Honestly, I think we as women are the most judgmental, mean people to each other. And I know that holds a lot of us back. And you know, beyond appearance, there's just wanting to seem capable, wanting to seem like we have it all together, wanting our children to behave, wanting our marriages to look perfect. But that doesn't exist. Like, your kids are going to embarrass you. Your husband's going to make you mad. Your husband's going to hurt your feelings. You're going to say something you shouldn't say. You're going to feel embarrassed or guilty or whatever, regretful of things that you do. And that's life. And if we can just embrace that we need to still show up, like, that's just, I guess that's just what we have to do. I would love to be a perfect mom. I'm a pretty good mom. I'm not a perfect mom by any means. I mess up on a regular basis. I make my child angry on a regular basis, which, by the way, I think is a sign that I'm doing well, because if I never make him mad, then I'm giving him everything he wants, and that's not a thing. my business, about my role as a mom, about all kinds of things. And I bet you do too. And if you don't, please reach out to me and tell me how you figured out how to not be insecure at all, because that's not the experience of most women. And so all of this to tell you, I didn't want to show up this week. Oh, no, scratch that. I wanted to show up. I didn't have the capacity to show up in a podcast in the perfect way, quote, perfect way that I wanted to. So I just wasn't going to. And thanks to my amazing friend who pushes me to grow and confront my own insecurities, here you go. You get this. And I hope that you can relate. And, you know, I don't know, maybe that needs to be my thing instead, is how to just be a hot mess and show up anyway. So yeah, I don't know who needed to hear that. I don't know what you need to be able to just cut yourself some slack on, but social media is the problem, in my opinion. Every time I open it and I see all these other, I've got a lot of other people who I follow who own businesses like mine, who are trying to support other people like I do, whether they're therapists or coaches or whatever. And it feels very icky to be like, wow, they're doing it so much better than I am. But that needs to just not be my problem. That needs to not be something that I focus on. And I try to work on that. But it's the same for moms. When we look at other moms, we look at other wives, and we see how they've got it all together. Maybe their children are better behaved than ours. Maybe their marriages look better than ours. And we feel a certain way about that. And that leaves us feeling less than. And this isn't a new message. You've heard me talk about this. You've heard a million people talk about this. But it's still something to remember, because it gets us in trouble all the time, even if that's just privately in our minds in the way that we beat ourselves up. So do with that what you wish. But so this was me showing up. You didn't get a podcast episode. Instead, you got me ranting in the car on the way to a doctor's appointment. So I'm going to park my car now and go into my appointment. And I hope that whatever you take from that, I hope it helps in some possible way. All right, bye, ladies.